Welcome everybody. So the masterclass now will be about what Google does for startups, what Google Cloud does in machine learning, and how a customer of ours, a startup, is applying this today. My name is Sebastian Weiß. I'm based in Berlin for Google Cloud,
and I'm Daniel Rösch. I'm CEO and co-founder from the startup BOTfriends. I'm a chatbot startup based in Würzburg.
Cool. So I'll start the session and then hand over to Daniel. So first of all, what does Google for startups? I'm clicking. Oh, it's also good. No, thanks. Okay, cool. In Google in Germany, we basically found a group of people that is very interested in working with startups, and we formed that group because we thought it makes sense that basically companies and potential clients have one group they can ask everything. The portfolio of Google, you know, is pretty large, and it's sometimes even for us it's difficult to find the right contact persons or product managers. So basically, we built this group that is the one face to you, and that is basically serving your needs that you have in the different stages of your when you're building your company. We basically categorize this in a concepting stage. So we're here if you're still in idea finding phase, or if you're starting up your by building your first products, building out your organizations, and your first go-to-market ideas. We will also support you in an accelerating stage, so to say, and make sure you build your business on a scalable approach, not only from a technology perspective, but also from an organizational one. And from an expanding stage, yeah, that's a very later stage, how you bring your company even further. Just the single point of contact, as I said, contains people at Google of different departments. So that can be developer relationship, that can be Google for entrepreneurs, the campuses that we have. It can be Google Cloud, that's me, and can be different, can be Android or Play, or could also be from the advertising space. What we do, or what we offer the tools, the trainings, communities, and consulting. Most of the time, it's really that, or what startups are really keen on talking to us, and Daniel will also elaborate on this, is that we give them, according to their stage, the right tips, but also that we offer them consulting, and especially in cloud, it's how you get your first product into the market, but also which technologies do you have to choose, because it's such a broad market in the meanwhile. How you can meet us over the website, that is startup.google.com. You can meet up with us at the events like you do now, or you can directly ask our experts during our office hours. I will now dig into Google Cloud and tell you a little bit where we come from, to understand the machine learning story completely. And then I will tell you a little bit about the offerings. I hope it doesn't sound too salesy, but we switch over to Daniel, because that's the really interesting part, how he applied all this innovation and technology. So actually at Google, we founded this small startup called Google Cloud a while ago, but it has been accelerating quite a lot because we made the decision that all our infrastructure colleagues basically move under the cloud BU or business unit. That's pretty significant because they are also hosting our product, so to say, but we put the customer now first. And the feedback from the field or from our customers is basically what is defining and shaping the roadmap of our infrastructure that we already have. So we focus on building what's next with you. The group of people that we have in Google Cloud is approximately 20,000 people, fast growing. We are quite serious, and that means I just want to enforce it with some numbers. We are pumping into the infrastructure itself 10 billion per year. The infrastructure currently hosts alone with our products more than 1 billion users. We have only one mission, and that is making the world's information accessible and useful. Just as a side fact, we are actually, since we built everything by our own, we have also our own network. We are the 4th largest internet service provider and the 3rd largest server manufacturer in the world. Actually a different way. How we initiated our products were that our applications that we have, like G Suite and others, they always wanted to consume the technology at a special SLA. They always wanted it as a managed service, so to say, because they had to initiate product offerings or scale very fast. So you can see in all the portfolio that we have a lot of managed services. But I will go into that a little bit deeper in a few minutes, and also apply it, of course, to machine learning. The Google Cloud portfolio currently, if you look at the stack, it contains of these products. These are very infrastructure-centric. Then we have, so to say, the whole data analytics, big data portfolio, and also machine learning. And then we have the app development and management layer, so to say, coupled with with products like APG, where you can manage your APIs over your IT landscape, and then the whole thing about collaboration that we package in mainly in G Suite. So what makes us different? I clustered it in 4 categories: secure, intelligent, customer-friendly, and open. Just to give you a feeling, I mean, there are other public cloud vendors, and we're not, so to say, the one with the biggest market share, but that you get an understanding how we want to differentiate ourselves. Secure, as I mentioned, we have a huge backbone that we built over the years. We started very early, basically building our own sea cables that connect the continents. So if you are out for performance and scale, you can use our network, or you can optionally also, this is optional, so you can also work with any CDN that you have that you're already working with, and go out to the internet as soon as possible if you're out for a more cost-efficient version. But again, this is a private network, so highly secured and performant. Security is something that is very important to us. We actually have a huge competence center in Munich. It's a small office of 800 people, and the people in Google Cloud said the Germans are so special about security, so you get basically a big portion of that competence center to basically consult our customers in that field. And as I said, since we built our own hardware, chips, etc., it's in every layer of our infrastructure that you can think of. And this is also extremely important to us because, again, our services are also using Google Cloud. Intelligent. As you can imagine, the vast amount of data that we have to process, and it's pretty huge. So we are investing in this area most of our money, actually. We are also building, for example, new chipset technologies like the Tensor Processing Unit, as you have maybe heard. And that came across because people 2014 realized in case people in average using, for example, the Android phone and talking to the smart assistant on a daily basis just for 3 seconds, we will not be able to build out this infrastructure and hardware anymore. So we had to rethink everything when it goes to machine learning and artificial intelligence. What we do from a service layer, from a service perspective, is that we, on the one hand, we open an open source framework called TensorFlow that we give out to the world for free, and that you can basically use on any infrastructure that you have. We have machine learning engine that is basically the managed service of this. So if you say, I have an idea, I want to start tomorrow, I don't want to care about implementation, patching, upgrading, and all that stuff, or scaling my infrastructure. You can use ML Engine, and then even further, we have pre-trained models that you can also use to some extent for free, and that we enriched already with our learnings, and that are, but Daniel will also give you more details how he used them actually. And again, you can mix them, and we also launched a product called AutoML, so you basically just have to set the foundation and classify the data, and then the tool itself will generate the algorithm for you. Customer friendly, what I mean by that is that we are currently considered as a pricing leader. I mean, we had a good head start because we had already such a huge infrastructure, so we could offer our services fairly cheap. Normally, it is the case that you don't need any special enterprise discount because you have a low list price, you have sustained use discounts. That means we basically give you the benefits if you utilize your machine to 100%, and we give you up to 60% discount on top. And there are other methods you can apply to our pricing. Customer friendly as well, because we offer this managed service on purpose, so you don't have to care about the whole operations and administrations, but you focus on insights and building products and bringing them to market. That is also considered by Forrester as quite a leading approach, and our portfolio as well considered leading in that space. Open, if you just check out opensource.google.com, it's quite fascinating how much we are engaged in the open source community. I mean, we run into many challenges by building our infrastructure, and we learned that there is nothing out there that serves this need. So from the very beginning, we built software, we open sourced it, and we're enriching many communities. As you can see, probably everybody knows Kubernetes and TensorFlow, but there's much more out there. And this also gives you the confidence by using Google products or services based on open source. You still have no lock-in or anything like that. As a next step, how can you engage further, especially with Google Cloud, is we offer the onboard events in Germany and all around the world. So that actually gives you a feeling of the technology. You even get a certificate that you can use and frame in the living room. And another option would be that you talk to us about the incentives that we have in our startup program. So we have several different programs, and we offer you free credits, which are valid for 1 year. We even give you G Suite for collaboration for free for a certain amount of seats. And that's basically how companies started or are starting or have reached now a different scale. For example, Snapchat. And now I would like to hand over to Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. Now, are you excited about how we as a chatbot startup are using those Google technologies? I will tell you. So my part is divided in 3 main parts. So first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about BOTfriends, about our startup and what we do. Then I will tell you which Google products we are using and what great chatbots we build with it. And in the end, I will briefly tell you about why we love to be part of the Google Startup Program. So first of all, this is our startup story. We started as interns at Porsche. There, in our spare time, as we were interns at Porsche, we developed our first chatbot, and we showed it to a lot of people at Porsche. And one day, we showed it to the right people in the HR department. They liked our idea, and they sent us to the Porsche Digital Lab in Berlin, and there we were launching our first chatbot. And after launching a chatbot, we were asking ourselves, do we stay at Porsche and do we work there as working students, or do we want to build our own company? And to be honest, Porsche is one of the best companies out there to work for. But anyways, we decided to start our own business, and we established the BOTfriends company. And one of our very first projects with real customers was in Toronto in Canada with the Cookhouse Lab. And there we learned a lot about methodology, and we were really intensively working on how to design chatbots. And then we came back to Germany, and we tried that methodology, but we we figured out that even the best methodology isn't good enough if you are relying on outdated or weak technology. So we intensively worked out which is the best bot framework out there, so the best tool to develop chatbots. And it took us 2 or 3 months to take this decision, and we decided for AP.ai, which is now called Dialogflow from Google. And then accidentally, we were on a startup conference together with Flyer Alarm, the German printing company. They took us to this event in Cologne, and we met 3 people from Google. All of them are here. It's Franzi, Sebastian, and also Tim is outside. And then they took us to the startup program from Google. And since that day, we are relying on Google technologies and build great chatbots for companies like Porsche, like Inuchi, or like as Oliver, the fashion brand. And here you can see on one slide what we are doing. We create conversations. That means we create conversational interfaces. And conversational interfaces are chatbots, which you interact with via text, but also voice assistants via voice. And for my presentation, it's really key to understand the difference between graphical user interfaces and conversational user interfaces. So graphical user interfaces are everything that you interact with via your mouse, or you tip with your finger on your smartphone, or you swipe with your finger. And those conversational user interfaces you interact with via natural language. So this is really key to understand the difference. And that's what we are building, those conversational interfaces. Yeah, this is how we see the world. More than 20 years ago, websites were very popular for businesses. And those businesses who rely on websites very early are the winners of today. And 10 years ago, the same phenomenon happened with apps, with mobile applications. But now we are seeing that only 5 to 7 apps are used regularly. And from that 5 to 7 apps, minimum of 2 apps are messaging and email. So we see the trend goes away from apps and goes to messaging. And that's why we are 100% sure that chatbots and also voice assistants will be coexisting with websites and with apps. But there are also a lot of people who say that chatbots will fail. If you Google why chatbots, then you can see why chatbots fail. And there is also a website which is called chatbots.fail, which gives you reasons why chatbots fail. In our opinion, there are 2 main reasons why they fail. The first, and very important, is because they are not designed correctly. So it's really completely different if you design a graphical user interface like an app, or if you design a conversational user interface like a chatbot. So that's the first main reason. And the second reason is it's a brand new technology. So the technology has to get a little better, but also the people have to learn more about the technology. And why chatbots will not fail, I will show you 2 emerging new technologies which show the high potential of those chatbots. So the first one is a video. It's about the Rcs Business Messaging. You might think there is nothing new about it. You know that from Facebook Messenger and from other messengers. But the good thing about that technology is that it's completely in the normal SMS client. So a lot of customers of ours say they can't handle, for example, insurance questions in Facebook Messenger. But they can handle those insurance questions in the SMS client. So this is like chatbots in Facebook Messenger, but in the normal SMS client. So chatbots via SMS is coming, and this is a technology from Google. And the second new technology I want to show you, the most of you might know it, but I want to show it anyways.
As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have at 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
So who already knew that video? It really went viral in LinkedIn. Yeah, a lot of you. And now I want to go to the main part, which is telling you how we developed a chatbot for our clients. The first example I want to show you is the Porsche recruiting chatbot. It lives in Facebook Messenger at the Facebook Messenger page Jobs and Career at Porsche. You can find it by scanning that code or just typing Jobs and Career at Porsche in Facebook. And the problems which we want to solve with that chatbot is, you can imagine a company like Porsche has so many requests on Facebook regarding recruiting. And a huge amount of that request are just standard questions. So they get the questions, how long does an internship take, multiple times a day? And always a real employee had to respond. And that's why the real employees had no time to focus on the real complex questions. And also, the people had to wait, had long waiting times. And Porsche was quiet in responding, but you can imagine a human cannot always respond immediately. But you can imagine who can respond immediately. Yes, it's the chatbot, and I want to show you a short example of the chatbot. And what it does first is it introduces itself. It says, hey, I'm a chatbot, so they are very transparent with it. They don't want to fool their users. And what you can see here, there are buttons which you can interact with. It's the guided conversation one, but you also can interact via natural language, so you can just ask your questions, and you will be directed to the right job position. And what the chatbot also offers is small talk. So if you say, for example, thank you, then the bot responds with a funny answer. Yeah, that was a very short example of the Porsche chatbot. You can try it on your own. It's live on Facebook Messenger. Yeah, and now how we build those chatbots. So this is a very high-level architecture. In the middle, you can see our server, which runs in Google App Engine, so we don't, the scalability and everything is done by Google. And the real heart of the chatbot is what you see on the right side, it's Dialogflow. That's the tool why we wanted to be part of the Google Startup program, because it's so easy to build chatbots with Dialogflow. And what we are also using from Google is the databases and the machine learning APIs. And that architecture we connect to a messaging interface like Facebook Messenger or Slack or even a website, and then we have a chatbot. I want to tell you a little more about Dialogflow because it's so easy to develop a simple chatbot. Here is a screenshot from Dialogflow. For that slide, it's key to understand the basic concept of Dialogflow. So Dialogflow works with intents. And an intent is one user intention. And here in this example, the user intention is to get to know whether there is a chatbot or if there is a real human responding. And all you have to do is what you see here on the left side. You have to, you need some utterances or user expressions like, are you a real person? Are you a chatbot? You are just a robot. You need those utterances. And on the other hand side, you need the answer. So that's everything. With that, you can easily implement a chatbot even without any coding skills. And the second thing which we love about chatbots and about the Google technologies is the sentiment analysis. The sentiment analysis tells you whether your users are very happy or very unhappy. And it does that by analyzing the natural language, the text. In this example, the user says, it's unbelievable that I have to wait so goddamn long for an answer on my application. And we can see the score is negative. It's at minus 0.5. And what you can do if you have a negative score, you can maybe hand over to a real employee. So if someone doesn't want to talk to a machine and is upset or anything, you can always direct him to an employee. And in the other case, if someone says, wow, thanks, it was so helpful, you see it has a positive score. The sentiment analysis is also very powerful for analytics. And you can see here are two figures of the Porsche chatbot. What we did with it, we could increase the engagement by over 100%. So the conversations have more than doubled since the chatbot has launched. And even if the conversations have more than doubled, the workload was reduced by 25%. Because the standard questions are handled by the chatbot and all the individual questions are handled by the humans. Our next example is the IT support chatbot for the fashion brand S. Oliver. They use it internally in Skype for Business. And here are some basic questions like, how do I change my Windows password, or my printer isn't working anymore. Then the chatbot asks you whether it is only your printer that's not working, or if also your colleagues are affected, and then it gives a proper answer. And always, if that answer isn't enough, the people at S. Oliver can also reach out to a real employee. So for us, it's always very important to have this human handover. What we can also do with Google technologies, we can enable multi-language chatbots. So if someone writes in Spanish, the lady gets a Spanish response. But even better, a more scalable way, if someone writes in Spanish, then we use the language detection API to detect that it's a Spanish sentence. And we translate it into English, we feed it to the English chatbot, and the English chatbot gets an English response, and this response again is translated into Spanish. So this is a way more scalable way to enable multi-language, and I can tell you we have that in real customer cases and it's working perfect. So the Google Translation API is out there, is the best translation API you can have. If you translate it from English to another language, it's just great. It's not 100% native language, but it's really, really great. And the third case we have is to combine the first version and the second version. You can also do both. So with the questions that are asked very, very often, you can translate manually. So it's a 100% perfect answer. And with the questions that are asked less often, you could do the automatic translation by the Translation API. So this is basically how we enable multi-language in our chatbots. Another great thing we can do with Google technologies is by using TensorFlow. You can imagine that those customers like Porsche and S. Oliver have a lot of historical chat data. And with TensorFlow, we can analyze that chat data and we can cluster it. So here you can see a basic example of some questions. And with TensorFlow, we are able to cluster them to see that those questions belong to the weather. And so we can learn from the customer's historical chat data and build a great chatbot out of it. So that was the last slide I wanted to show you about our products. And now I want to tell you why we love to be part of the Google Startup Program. First of all, not only because they take us to events like today, the NOAH conference, but also because they introduce us to great customers or potential customers. And we are able to have training sessions with Googlers regarding marketing or regarding pricing strategy, but most often we have some technical questions. And also very important for us, we have early access. For example, we know the Dialogflow roadmaps or part of the Dialogflow roadmaps, which is very important for us because the technology is so brand new and it's changing very, very fast. And for us, it's amazing to know about the future of the products. And also, which I showed you earlier, the SMS chatbot client, we also have an early access API for that, just to play around with a new technology and maybe find a customer who is willing to also play around with that technology. But, and this is my very, very last sentence, this is the main point why we were choosing Google as our startup program. We would have never changed Google if they were not the very best technology provider regarding chatbots and machine learning. So if they were just the second best, we won't have chosen Google for the startup program. But as they are the very best for Dialogflow, for chatbots, and for machine learning, we are very, very happy with the Google technology. And I just want to say thank you for listening. And now I'm very open to answer your questions.
Are there any questions?
Is it fair to say that technology is sort of rule-based, the chatbot technology? It's a path dependency in terms of how you get from A to B.
With Dialogflow, there are two versions. There is one hybrid version, which is rule-based with keywords, which you mentioned, and also machine learning. So this is if you don't have enough data, if you have like 10 example questions, then you should choose the rule-based version. But there is also a machine learning only versions. If you have like 30 or more questions or example questions, then it's only machine learning based. Because if you only use keywords, then the chatbot doesn't really work. So if you say something like, I don't want to know the weather, then it gives you the weather. That's not good. So Google has an answer to that with machine learning only.
Right. And the project that's been implemented with Porsche, is that sort of the former, i.e. a sort of path-dependent dialogue?
It's a mixture between both because we have those buttons which guide the user through the conversation, but we also have natural language. And we think that, or we believe, or we know that these buttons are very important because if we don't have those buttons, we recognize that people are asking the recruiting chatbot for soccer results. So this is why we have also the guided version, but it's always both. Yeah, welcome.
I think you had a question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I would like to ask you about the next step for the chatbots. Like as you said, like as Oliver, you're helping them with the IT part.
Yeah.
But are you considering to helping them with the payment methods, like including the chatbots? Like there are lots of Instagram shops and online shopping.
Yeah.
If it's not big brand, they always talk on WhatsApp or Instagram direct to
Yeah.
What I
Yeah, I know.
consider payment methods putting in a chatbot.
Yeah, so payment is a very, very important thing. The SMS client from Google, which I showed you before, has payment. Facebook has payment. Facebook Messenger has payment in the US as a beta version. In Germany, unfortunately not. But if you're looking to China, to WeChat, they do everything in WeChat with payment. They pay their doctors, they pay for cinema tickets, they pay everything in Messenger. So payment is a huge topic for messaging.
Are you considering to put payment methods in your
in that cases which we worked for, not, but I'm sure there will be a lot of cases where we in the future need to implement payment. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm working on a project to create a chatbot that uses WhatsApp, but WhatsApp does not provide an API for that.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm developing the prototype, I can solve this problem, but it's not very efficient and stable and so on. So, what do you advise? I mean, should I continue with preparing this chatbot for WhatsApp and hoping, like one day they're going to provide an API, or?
Yeah. So if I started to play around with the technology chatbots in early 2016, they said it doesn't take long until WhatsApp has an API. But still today they don't have an API. But what they did, they changed their terms of service. So that's maybe a signal that they will be having an API, but we never know. So maybe you could do an MVP. So always, if we do an MVP, we do it in Facebook Messenger because it's very fast. But for the real version, you could maybe go on a website, maybe, or depends on a use case using Facebook Messenger, or if the Google RCS is launching, WhatsApp won't be the best medium anymore. So via the SMS client will be even better than WhatsApp, because everyone has that SMS client. So Google works together with providers like Telecom, and the Telecom, they have to change their systems, and you can use it if you have the newest Android version. And Apple is working on a similar thing for iOS. So it's just an API like you're using for Facebook Messenger. It's a similar API for the SMS client. Does that answer your question?
We can talk about later.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
It's basically what you've seen. He mentioned the front ends like Facebook Messenger and Slack and all these others. This is replaced via SMS. And then they're triggering everything that comes after this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we have to build partnerships with Vodafone, Deutsche Telekom and all the others. And they do the integration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for chatbots, the technical questions is not too big when it's only, for example, question and answer. And the technical stuff is done very, very quick. But the real problem is the chatbot design, and which elements you're using. When do you want to use buttons? When do you want to use natural language? So this is the most critical part about chatbots, that you have a good conversational design, and that depends if you, or that will be so that tells if your chatbot will be a success or not. Well, there are some points. So the first point, which I often mentioned, is the chatbot design. So we really focus on a chatbot design. And the other thing is that we build our own software, which the other competitors don't have. So for example, the clustering, we can learn from historical data, and other competitors can't do that. And for example, we can you can send us Excel sheets, and we can build a chatbot of that Excel sheets. So those two parts, the chatbot design and also our own technology. Yeah.
As a time scale, how much Google did accelerated your startup? Like if you hadn't had these APIs, like how long would it take for you to write those codes and hopefully start your startup?
Yeah, as we developed the first chatbot for Porsche, it took us like 1 month in Stuttgart at Porsche and 3 months in Berlin at Porsche. So in addition, 4 months. And today, with the knowledge, but also with the Google APIs, we would need 2 or 3 weeks for that chatbot. So it's really, really different if you write everything in the code or if you have a great tool like Dialogflow.
Okay, I think we are over time. Cool. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks.